The basic thrust of my first 2.5 years have been entirely consistent with what I said I was going to do during the campaign. Because what I promised was that not only were we going to deal with the immediate crisis, I said we are going to start laying the foundation for us to solve some of these long-term problems. The challenge I have in these negotiations is, whether I like it or not, I've got to get the debt ceiling limit raised. I'll answer that question later, but I just want to make sure that everybody understands defaulting is not an option. There's some on either side that have suggested that somehow we could manage our way through, but I just want everybody to be clear. The United States government sends out about 70 million checks every month. We have to refinance bonds that we've issued, essentially IOUs to investors. We do that every week. If suddenly investors, and by the way, a lot of those investors are Americans who have treasury bills, pension funds, etc., if suddenly they started thinking that we might not pay them back on time, at the very least, at the bare minimum, they would charge a much higher interest rate to allow the United States to borrow money. And if interest rate costs go up for the United States, they're probably going to go up for everybody. So it would be indirect tax on every single one of you.
My name is Mary Wagner. I teach government at Blake High School in Montgomery County.
Great.
And one of the things that we teach our students when we're teaching them about this governmental system that we have is how important it is in a two-party system to compromise. Right. And my students watched the Republican leadership after the last election saying things out loud like, we're not going to compromise with the Democrats. And does that mean, are things changing? Do we not use compromise anymore? And what should I teach my students about how our government works if people are saying out loud, we're not going to compromise with the other party?
This notion that somehow if you're responsible and you compromise, that somehow you're giving up your convictions, that's absolutely not true. Those of you who are of a Democratic persuasion, are only reading the New York Times and watching MSNBC. And if you are on the right, then you're only reading the Wall Street Journal editorial page and watching Fox News. And, if that's where you get your information, just from one side, if you never even have to hear another argument, then over time, you start getting more dug into your positions. This theory that the only answer to every economic problem we have, the only answer for job creation, is to cut taxes for the wealthiest Americans and for corporations, is not borne out by the evidence. And we should be a little more creative in how we think about it. I want all of you to recognize that when I look out at each and every one of you, this diverse crowd that we have, you give me incredible hope. You inspire me. I am absolutely convinced that your generation will help us solve these problems. And I don't want you to ever get discouraged, because we're going to get through these tough times just like we have before. And America is going to be stronger, and it's going to be more prosperous, and it's going to be more unified than ever before, thanks to you.